really enjoying my life except for this moment, okay? All right, sure. That's all right. Don't hurt my feelings, I understand. Who else? You all right, you got one?
Well, I generally enjoy shopping and
Yeah.
well, I know that, but like, I don't know.
If you're an Auburn fan, you can say, well, I generally enjoy the Tigers, comma, I'm not that big a fan of the LSU Tigers.
Hey, hold on.
Sorry, was that personal?
Yeah.
Sorry. I didn't mean that, sorry. It's really getting me tonight, okay? All right, what I asked you to kind of set up is a complex statement. A complex statement, all right? Now, when you write your thesis statements, when you write that all-encompassing, that all-important thesis statement in the DBQ, you need to set it up like a complex statement. Because history, well, AP history, is not always neat and clean and black and white. There's like a balancing act, okay? So, now you're not going to use I. Don't automatically think, oh, I need to set up everything while I generally enjoy it. I'm talking about using the word while, okay? Don't say I. Don't say I believe the sky is blue. Just say the sky is blue. All right. Speak with some authority. All right. So don't say I think. Don't ever say I think or I believe. Just say it. You're wasting time. Again, we can't waste time on the DBQ essay. But you can begin a thesis with while or in spite or although. Any sentence in which you set up for some kind of shift, some kind of transition, is a complex statement. They want your thesis, they want basically your essay to be complex. In fact, there's a whole point devoted to complexity. All right, that's a change. It's something new about the rubric this year. Have you looked at the DBQ rubric, by the way? Let's be honest. I know it's fall and a lot of things going on. You may not get more into writing till later. How many of you have seen the DBQ rubric? Okay, good. It's a good place to start. I'm glad you're here. You're at the right place. Okay. The DBQ rubric looks like this. Contextualization, thesis, doc evidence, point of view, outside evidence, and then complexity, whatever that is. Now, do you guys know how they grade your essays? After you take this test in May, and they box these things up, they send them off. A group of college instructors, a group of teachers, they get together in this big room, and they are assigned to a table. And for about 7 or 8 days, solid, straight, they open up a box of essays, and they read and grade and grade and grade. Yeah, no joke. Okay, you got another pay well, but you earn every dime, all right? And the reason they have this table is that they each read your essay to get a general consensus, because if you're kind of, is this a 4, is it a 5, they get a general consensus to be fair to you. Okay, what does the group think? What is the general consensus? All right, and there's usually a table leader that's kind of like the expert at the table. Meaning, they're not just going to, okay, are there 5 paragraphs? Yes, check. This is not like something you might have got away with once upon a time. They really read it. And they look for ways to get you points, but you want to make their job easy, right? Especially if it's day 7, right before they break for dinner, or break for the day, okay? And they have read and graded, and they get to yours. Don't make them search for these points, okay? Yeah, you can get points with a disorganized essay, but it's going to be harder. It's going to be harder on them, and they may not be as kind. When you get kind of that gray, into that subjective area, is this a point, is it not? You may not get the benefit of the doubt if you make their job harder than it has to be, okay? So we want to make their job easy. We want to make it to where every sentence is like, oh yeah, this is going to the thesis, or this is going to the context, or this is evidence, all right? So help them help you get a good grade here, okay? So, thesis statement, while in spite, although, good way to start it. You're setting up a complex statement. What are thesis killers? And I don't mean I don't know if killer is like a cool word today, if something's really great. I'm not up on modern lingo, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm dated, I'm like a fossil. But when I say killer, I mean bad, will destroy your thesis, okay? What are some words you want to avoid using in the thesis? What? Okay, yeah, definitely I, no I's. In my opinion, and yeah, avoid that. What else? What? My essay is about, oh yeah, ooh, yeah. Good, you guys know what not to use. Also, when you say things like, well, there were many things that changed. That's the most common mistake we get around the country, around the world, okay, in writing thesis statements. What's wrong with saying, there's many things that change, or there's many similarities, or there's a lot of differences? What's wrong with just that?
You're not in depth.
Exactly. It's way too vague, okay? It's way too vague, all right? If you see a teacher write BS on the paper, they're actually saying be specific, okay? Be specific. Be more specific. Be more specific. We need to, yeah, no. If you ever saw, I used to write that, and students would be like, be specific is what it means, okay? But be specific. You need to go ahead and preview, what the body of the paper is going to consist of. I don't need to be guessing, okay, what are these many things? Because so much of how they grade the other areas beyond the thesis is them going back and measuring those back to the thesis. Like when they look at the doc evidence, there's a lot of different things you could say about a document. So what they want to know is, okay, have you identified like the lens you're going to use to look at that document? Are you looking at the document from an economic standpoint, from a political standpoint, from a social standpoint? And so they want to be able to see, oh yeah, they talked about, in the document they wrote about some kind of political issue from the document. Is that consistent with what they said in the thesis? Yes. Or if the thesis didn't say anything at all about something political, there's an inconsistency. So you may not get that point, you may not get that point, and now you may not get that point either. Okay? So the thesis must be specific, and the rest of the paper needs to constantly point back to the thesis. Okay? Support. That's what support is. Don't be random here in your body. Make sure there's a flow. Okay? Make sense? All right. I'm going to talk about the intro, and then I'm going to let you guys do some documents with a partner in a second. I'll let you kind of tear these documents apart and come up with a way to analyze them. But first I want to, hey.
Hey,
How
may
are
we
you?
interrupt rudely
Sure.
or politely?
We want to give out a gift.
Oh, I'll take